Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time of the day you all are watching this. My name is Daphne. I'm an Open Dream Scholar from 2017. I did my undergrad from 2018 to 2022 at Chebsi University, and I'm currently pursuing a master's in African International Development at the University of Edinburgh under the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. Um, I've I went through Open Dreams in 2018 before getting my scholarship to pursue my master's at my undergrad, at Chebsi University in Ghana. And I think I worked for a year before moving to the UK for master's. I moved to the UK sometime in September. So I have some experience, quite a little experience writing eight different kinds of essays. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that with you. And I'm hoping you can take one or two things from all of this. Most of what I have here is research I've done from UK university websites and also from my personal experience writing essays and how I view writing essays for UK versus writing essays, especially for the US, because I think those are the two major countries most people apply to at the master's level. Um, So yeah, I'll just head right into it so that we don't waste a lot of time. I'm not sure how much time is allocated to this session, so um, I'm hoping you all are able to synthesize everything I say here within the time that is given. First of all, let's talk about what a personal statement is. By now, most of you should have heard about a personal statement. I don't know what stage of the application process you are at, or I don't know what stage within Open Dreams you're at. If you just got to Open Dreams, or if you're just attending this session, or if you've been a part of Open Dreams for long, or if you've ever heard about applications, or if you've ever done an application to a UK or US university. But a personal statement is a part of, if not all, almost every application for when you're applying to university in UK and the US. There are quite subtle differences between the UK and the US personal statements, but this is going to focus on the UK, and I'm also going to try to bring out the differences between the statement for the UK and the statement for the US whenever I can. There are some differences along the way, and I'll also touch on that majorly at the end. Personal statement is really an essay you write to tell the admissions committee more about yourself beyond what they can see on your transcript or beyond what they can see in the documents you've submitted or beyond what they can see in the recommendations you've put forward. So it's really your way of communicating with the admissions committee, especially in a case where you don't have an interview. So as you can see on the slide, a personal statement is your chance to explain your motivation for applying and why you are a good choice for the course. Um, it's your opportunity to sell yourself and differentiate yourself from any other applicant, share your passion for joining the university, and link your life experiences and skills to show how you contribute to a cohort. It's a statement of academic interest and should not contain any autobiographical information about your personal life. I know there might be some contention about this. Some schools really don't care about, the story that shapes you. They really just want to see your expertise in the specific field you've chosen. So though they will majorly ask you to talk about how your degree or how your job or how the skills you have informed your decision to pursue that program. Um, Most times, if you look at a UK, a US personal statement, you'll see that, and this is where one of the differences between the UK and the US personal statement comes in. We'll see that at the end. But um, here you see that some US universities, most people start by telling giving a short anecdote of, um, um, like life experience that has informed their decision to pursue a particular course, or maybe an experience that has shaped them into who they are and all of that. But with the UK universities, most times people just delve right into talking about I want to pursue this course in this and this and this and this and this and this. Sometimes you might throw in one or two sentences about your life story and all of that, but it is not a very defining part of your AC as it is in most US personal statements. And so I want you to think of that. Some schools don't even advise you, some schools in the UK don't advise you dwelling a lot on that personal anecdote, but talking a lot about your skills and your experience and your the academic expertise that is also that you also bring into the program. And the personal statement should be all about you, why you're interested in the course, what makes you unique and what makes you stand out. I mean, we are going to hear about this a million times. As long as you're at Open Dreams, what makes you unique and what makes you stand out. Most times we look at applications and we know that because there are quite a lot of people applying to particular programs, we want to tailor stuff to suit what we think we want that program to see. But in my experience, I feel like it's easier to write a personal statement that is really about who you are, genuinely about who you are, and the things you like, and the things you value, and the things you're good at. The moment you're forcing yourself to write based on someone else's perspective or based on what you think the reader wants to read, you're trying to box yourself up with everyone, and that doesn't really help you stand out. So I'll say make sure you're really writing about you and not about who you want people to know about you. I mean, you're writing what you want people to know about who you are genuinely, but make sure you're not altering that, or you're not consciously changing parts of yourself so that you're fitting into certain things. It might look like that's what I do because you really want to get a scholarship, but at the heart of it should be really you and what you value, and also the skills and the expertise you have. So it's really you and what makes you unique. And think about, all the other angles people could write from and write from. It's very unlikely that you have an experience that is too unique to you, but the way you talk about it, people experience the same phenomena but experience it differently. So the way you talk about it is what makes you stand out from the others. Okay, so the core elements of a personal statement, especially a UK personal statement, is first of all your motivation and enthusiasm, and a clear understanding of why you are making the application to this particular course and this particular institution. So this show, I should be able to tell this from reading your personal statement, why you're applying to the course and why you're applying to that particular school. I should also be able to tell how your academic background and other experiences have shaped your decision to apply and how the course contributes to your future. Um, if you notice here, the first thing is academic background. So please be very mindful of that. Talk about if you're applying for something business related, make sure you talk about that. I switched from business to international development, but I don't really remember talking about my academic background that much, but I know I talk about things like doing statistics and development economics, and economics, which help shape my perception about things like inequalities, and I want to explore more of that in a development context. So you have to talk about that and connect your reason for applying to your academic background. It's really important in your UK personal statement. And also showing evidence that you have skills, ability, experience to successfully contribute to the course and complete it. Like I said, the UK is very particular about you showing that you can do that course and do it well. And also, because you might be expected to write a dissertation at the end, you want to also show that you can make significant contributions to the course. If possible, talk about your research, your past research experience. Yeah, if possible, talk about your past research experience and also how it's going to inform your future experience or how you're going to use that. Yeah. So structuring your AC. I know from maybe secondary school and writing and doing essay writing, you might have heard a lot about structuring essays, introduction, body, and conclusion. Quite a lot of people know about the structure. I just want to note here that the US personal statement is significantly shorter. Sorry, the UK personal statement is significantly shorter than the US personal statement. And I struggled with this quite a lot when I was writing because I was used to writing given ex I was used to having extensive space for writing a personal statement when I applied to US. Some schools ask for 1,500 words, some schools ask for 1,000 words. So I had all of that space. But when I got to the UK personal statement, some of them are 250 words, some of them are 500. I think the maximum I've seen is 700 so far. So be very mindful of that and think about how you're going to box up everything or how you're going to compress all the words you have to say or you have to write in those 500 or 250 or 700 words. For the most part, they really want to say what's important. So you have to know how to articulate what's important in within a short space or within a limited number of words. So you have the introduction, which is the opening paragraph. Um, I mean, we all know it sets the pace for whatever is going to come on in the AC, and it's really going to tell whether or not the person reviewing your application is going to read through that essay, because the moment the introduction is boring, every other part of the essay, the person might not really follow through because you didn't give it a good start. Um, you might want to start with a powerful anecdote or a brief narrative of your initial inspiration or a thought-provoking statement linked to your academic interest. Like I said, this should be very brief. Don't make it the whole Let's make it the whole point of your essay, like you might do in a US essay. Just make it very brief and quickly move on to talking about, adding some academic motivation as to why you want to pursue the course. That's really important. Um, have a have an eye-catching introduction. Don't start with cliche and overused sentences. You'll hear this at Open Dreams too. This is really, even at undergrad, don't use I have always wanted to study or I feel I have always had a passion. A lot of people write about this, so they might probably be tired of seeing it and hearing about it, and they want something new, and they're reading thousands of applications. Imagine reading the same sentence over and over and over again. You get bored, it's too redundant. And so at some point, whenever they'll see it on an application, they'll be like, this one again. So they'll just toss your application to the side. So please don't use cliches. They might sound powerful and make you feel like someone passionate about the course you want to study. But to be honest, no matter how passionate we are about certain things, chances are that a lot of other things have contributed to us wanting to do that. So you can talk about those other things. It's much more believable for people to know that um a course in undergrad or an experience at your undergrad shaped you rather than talking about something which happened in your childhood. I mean, things that happen in our childhood shape us, but let's be realistic. Yeah. So this is an example of uh an introduction which mirrors what a UK university might be looking for. Um, I know we said don't use from an early age, but from an early age, I have possessed an instinctive curiosity and intrigued by the workings of the human mind. please avoid such a sentence if possible. The relationship between the underlying biological, or you can just say, I have an instinctive curiosity and I have been intrigued by the workings of the human mind. Avoid from an early age if possible. Unless otherwise, you absolutely have to write about it. The relationship between the underlying biological phenomena and the behaviors brought about by such mechanisms have always fascinated me. It was not until my grandmother was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and enzymatic dementia, however, that the link between the brain and function became a passion or no, whatever all of that is. So you see this person has, even though they've sprinkled in some personal experience, they've also spoken about the phenomena and try to explain it and try to talk about why it's intriguing to them. So this is the route you should use, or maybe you should just even talk about your undergrad and how it has shaped how your academics at your undergrad and how it has shaped your decision to pursue this course. You can just say, I'm curious about this. While pursuing my undergraduate degree, I realized that this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and you're really good to go. But please don't dwell too much on the story. This person might have just started by saying, oh, in the summer of 2021, my grandmother was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. The doctors found it hard to maybe explain what was happening, all of that long story, and you say at the end, you say this shaped my decision. No, but here this person has talked about a phenomenon and tried to explain it, and you can see the person is very curious about it, but from a very technical perspective. So this is what they are looking for, you showing this technical kind of curiosity and wanting to learn more, because I don't think as just an ordinary person, when I read this, I mean, you want an ordinary person to be able to understand your personal statement, but there are certain things here that, the words cognitive, Parkinson's disease and all of that makes you know that the person has some technical background and they know what they are about in the subject of interest. So for a task, um, first of all, I'll ask that whoever is moderating the session, I'm not sure if it's Evita, but they can pause and you read this and you take a 10-minute break to do this task. Write a sample personal statement introduction for your potential program and share with your friends. One person can share their introduction and others give feedback. So this is no pressure at all. You can pause the video and you all write your introductions. You don't need a perfect introduction, just thinking about the program you want to study, and I'm thinking about your academic background and thinking about your motivations. You can write an introduction and share. One person can share it with the others, and then maybe the others can give feedback based on what we've said in the previous slides. And you can also do the same for the body of the essay, depending on how much time you have. I'm going to head right into the main body. The main body of the essay can be divided into as many paragraphs as possible, depending on how many ideas you want to build on. Usually depending on the number of words, I go from talking about my motivation to studying the course, to talking about my academic background, to talking about my career, any career experience that I have, or volunteer work and skills that I might have gotten. So I also want to say, when you highlight um, maybe a course or a subject at school, and you talk about how, learning about that has shaped your decision. Also talk about the skills and experience the skill sets you gain, or any specific kind of knowledge that you gain, and any research you did. So the idea is to show that your degree prepared you for this program. So don't just tell them that, oh, I did a bachelor's in this and this and this and this and this, so I think I'm prepared for this program. No, I did a bachelor's in this and this and this and this. I took some specific courses like this and this and this that help me understand how this and this functions. And I want to be able to explore this, or I want to do this because of this understanding. So you're connecting things, you're not just saying things and then leaving the reader to connect them for you. And also you talk about any career experience that you have or any work experience that you have. Um, it's bonus if it's related to the course you want to study, and talk about the skills and also the skills you've gained and how they've prepared you for this program. I follow that by talking about, I think, my plans for the future, um, how the program is going to equip me for whatever it is I want to do, or whatever I think I potentially want to do in the future. And then I close up by just talking about the fact that I'm looking forward to joining the school, and I'm looking for an opportunity to challenge myself. You might also want to talk about why, sorry, at this level of talking about your career plans, you might also want to talk about why you think the school is a good fit for you. That can really come along anywhere, even at the level of when you're writing about you're trying to connect your previous background to the course. You can talk about the fact that you realize that the university offers this and this and this and this and this, which makes it a good fit for you as you're going to leverage your need to do this and this and this and this. So there is really I wouldn't say there is a fixed, like very rigid structure on how to go about this. Some schools offer you a prompt which you have to follow strictly, making sure whatever information you're giving is very encompassing of the questions they've asked on the prompt. But in the body, this is really what you write about, why you want to study this topic or field. You'll be talking about things like if it's a natural extension of your current interest, how did you become interested in this area? Why does it continue to fascinate you? What have you done within your degree or outside of your study to further this interest? Will the course provide a step towards your longer term goals? Why the specific course and institution? Um, are there any particular options or modules that interest you? I think when I was writing my personal statement, I had to go to the university's website, University of Edinburgh website, read about the potential courses I might want to take and how they connect to my plans for the future or my research interest. You know, talk about why you want to take those courses. If they are going to help you understand something better. You can also talk about how your experience equips you for the course. Like I said, the subject you did at undergrad. For most of my development programs, I spoke about statistics. I spoke about research methods. I spoke about analytical writing. Especially in the UK, if you're doing a social science course, you're going to do a lot of writing. It's really writing. There's not much statistics like I expected, or there's not much numerical analysis like I expected. You do a lot of theory and writing. So you might want to highlight if you're good at writing, if you did a dissertation which helped you hone your research, your writing skills, you might want to talk about that. Your non-academic achievements might also provide, if maybe you're good at project management or effective communication, or if you've shown any track record of resilience, like just the things that you feel, or the experience, expertise, or knowledge that you feel equips you for the course. Write about that. Where the course might lead you. Like I said, what are your plans for the future? Do you want to do a PhD? Do you want to work in a non-profit? Do you want to work with the hospital? Do you want to work in government? And how do you see this course contributing to getting you to that point? You might want to talk about that too. And this is an example of the introduction I showed you. This is an example of of a body for the introduction. I just realized um this might have been for an undergrad, I'm not very sure, or master's, but whatever it is, it really expresses the same idea. Um, you're talking about um a lot of the things we spoke about in the previous slide. I'll also ask that whoever is um moderating the session should post this so that you read through it yourself and try to make sense of it. If you have time, you can do an essay plan for the body of your essay and also share with your mates and then get feedback. Really just talk about what you intend to talk to write about in the body of your essay based on the introduction you wrote, and you'll get feedback from it from your friends on it, sorry. Um, but this is a possible way to see the body of your essay. I would have added um I would have added my essay to this, but I wrote based on the prompt that was given, and it did not have as much depth as this had. That's why I chose this. This is a lot more descriptive. Mine was it's a straightforward. So I want you to have a clearer picture or a much more nuanced picture of what the body should look like, ideally. So this is it. Especially if you're not given a prompt or if you're not given, directives on what to write. And the conclusion, like I said, summarize your application, return to any themes introduced at the beginning, and restate your enthusiasm for the course. Or you can say, I'm looking forward to challenging myself. And this program provides me an opportunity to do so, all of that stuff. And so, personal statement checklist, I think, is really just the things you want to make sure are in your application, your academic achievements. Um, you need to, like I said, you need to demonstrate, especially for the UK personal statement, how your undergraduate has prepared you for a postgraduate course. Um, you can highlight any specific achievement, projects, and pieces of work, as well as topics that might have been of interest to you. I spoke about education inequalities. I spoke about development economics. I spoke about statistics in my statements. So that might be helpful. I also spoke about a topic I did in my undergraduate thesis in relevant applications. So you might also want to explore that. If you complete any professional experience, work experience outside your studies, you can also mention it. Talk about the duties, tasks, and responsibilities you had to demonstrate and what you gained from this course. I spoke about being a research assistant after school and managing research projects, doing literature reviews. I spoke about interviews, managing all of those things, and that spoke to my ability to manage myself during studies, my analytical thinking, my writing, and all of that. Um, relevant extracurricular activities. If you've done any extracurricular volunteer work that you think is relevant to your application, please you can add that. Transferable skills. Do you have communication skills, time management skills, cross-cultural interaction skills? You can talk about all of those. And if you feel like there are things you can't really cover all of this information in one essay and you have the chance to submit a recommendation, you can also ask your recommender to highlight all of those for you. And I don't know if you're going to have a session on how to get recommendations, but most times when you're applying, or most times when I ask for a recommendation, I had one recommender who constantly asked me if I wanted her to highlight any specific expertise or skills or things about me within the application, and I'll tell her, and then she's going to do that for me. And it really helps for your recommender to have an all-rounded view about you. So if they don't know you that well, um, you can write your personal statement way ahead of time. You can have your CV handy. You can have something called the brag sheet or an about me sheet where you write all of your achievements and all of the things you've done, and you send to that person. That way they can gauge you, even if it's just from, the documents you've submitted, and write a recommendation that stands out and talks about things that you might not have the chance to talk about um, in your personal statement and other parts of your application. Things to avoid: repetition of information. When submitting, most graduate programs in the UK will ask you to submit a CV. Make sure you're not just importing or repeating information on your CV to your personal statement. The information might overlap, but don't just copy everything from your CV to your personal statement. Don't just make sure everything in your CV, everything in your personal statement is just a crafted story of your CV. I'll put it that way. Yeah, your personal statement is not a cover letter where you're trying to explain your CV. No, it's where you're trying to talk about the program and why you should be in that program and in that school. And providing enough context. I think I spoke about this. You don't just tell, you show, and you don't tell, show, not tell. Yeah, don't just say, I took this and this and this courses, which prepared me for this and this and this. How have they prepared you? What did you learn? What did you accomplish? What are you curious about? How did it spark your curiosity? So paint that picture for them. Don't just tell them that I took statistics or I took biology, which prepared me for graduate studies in, neurology or something like that. How did they do that? Um, what about biology sparked your curiosity and made you want to study this and all of that? Um, um, yeah, not tailoring your application to the specific university now or course now. I know applying to schools is a daunting and cumbersome process, but I'm going to be honest, it really, really helps to take time to make sure that I know you have like a whole lot of personal statements you've written over the years, but it helps to sometimes just have to start back on a fresh slate and write another personal statement. You don't always need to copy and paste and edit the same personal statement you have. This is challenging because most times you have a picture of yourself in your head that you want every admissions officer to know about you, but some applications will not let you paint that same picture, which is difficult. But I hope you take out time, um, even if it means changing your location for a day to help you think different, but sometimes try to write from a new perspective, especially if it's a completely different program, different course, and um you need to write something new. Don't always try to tie yourself to one narrative. There are so many parts to you, um, and you can explore all of those parts and bring it to your application. I'm not saying you try to fit in, stand out, but understand that there are so many parts to you, and you can talk about the same thing also in very different ways that will fit whatever prompt or whatever narrative you're trying to put out there. So I hope you take our time to write each personal statement like you're writing it for the first time, even if you're just editing it. And except maybe you're applying to two of the same programs, and there are no prompts for the two programs, and you just have to use the personal statements, but still you have to change certain things. You might need to provide examples of, why that specific school, are there any values about the school? I think one thing that made it easy for me to, when I was applying for the Mastercard scholarship at the University of Edinburgh, was the fact that the Mastercard Scholars Program itself aligned with a lot of the work I had been doing or I have been doing, um, access to education and all of that. So I was like, I feel like this is where I am because the work you do aligns with like the work I do personally. So I see that I see this as a chance to learn from the team, and it's been quite a nice learning process if I'm going to be honest. And you get to see beyond the obvious or the things you know about. So I hope you can um think of yourself beyond just that application, and also the broader context of who you are um as a person, and what you can learn beyond the classroom, or how the program can impact you beyond the classroom. Yeah. This is just some practical advice. Writing effective personal statements take time. Expect to go through several draft and ask tutors, peers, career advisors. The truth is, as time goes on, you'll realize that you don't really need to go through several drafts as much as you need to go through them the first time. But make sure that in the beginning, when I started writing personal statements in undergrad, my mentor was really nice. So grateful she was there, but we had to go through them over and over and over again. And even when the first year I applied to master's programs, I think it was sometime in 2021, I was hoping that I'll be able to, transition directly to grad school after my undergrad, but I had to take a gap year because I did not get like funding, early enough. Um, but my first time writing personal statements, my mentor, the same mentor I had in undergrad, she gave me quite good feedback on my personal statements, and she also brought in her friends on board who helped me refine it. And it was really, really amazing because I feel like the second year I applied, I did not have to write a lot anymore. I actually wrote a lot again, but it wasn't as much as I think I would have done in the beginning if I hadn't had that prior experience. So I'll say as you write and as time goes on, you become better at it. So make sure that a lot of people are looking through your personal statement. Good English grammar and spelling are essential. Avoid jargon and make sure non-experts can understand it. I was mentoring some undergrads last year about writing personal statements, and there was this guy who kept writing. It wasn't the technical parts of it, but he tried to overly infuse very heavy um words into his personal statement. Sometimes I had to go and Google to read, and I'm like, you know what? I know my grammar and vocabulary might not be as strong as someone in the US, but I feel like this is doing too much. And if I have to go and use a dictionary to be able to understand your personal statement, or I have to Google to understand, then it's really not worth it. So keep it simple. I'm not saying it's really great if your vocabulary is rich and you use a wide variety of words, but make sure that you're not just throwing in a lot of big words or jargon just so that you sound smart or creative. Doesn't do much, to be honest. My personal statements were very short and very straight to the point. I find it easy to write like that. I don't know if I'm just dumb or yeah. But yeah, keep the tone positive, fresh, and lively in order to convey enthusiasm and make yourself stand out. But remember that this is a document that introduces you in a professional capacity, especially for UK universities. I've seen students so many times when they are writing their personal statements, they just want to go to their family background and their financial situation and talk about it. And I'm like, no, don't do this, especially if that is the university's application itself and you have a chance submit a financial aid application or a scholarship application, avoid that trap of wanting to talk about finances and how you grew up in a poor background and how access to this was hard. Um, Try to look at the bright side of things, if I should say that, and show there's a way I'll read your personal statement and I know that you really want to be here. I've gotten feedback from statements I did not from a Mastercard application, which I did not make it through. I did not make it into the university, but I submitted a Mastercard application and I got very positive feedback on my personal statement. So you'll stand out with your statements, even sometimes when you don't make it into the school or you don't make it into the program, but they'll remember you for something, and that will be the unique story that has shaped you. And it's very helpful if it hits the nail on the head, like knowing exactly what you want to do and telling them that this is what I want to do because it's going to help me to do this. And I've been shaped by this. So if you're able to articulate that very well, hit the nail on the head, when I look at you, I can easily associate you with this particular thing, and that's very easy. Um, so please keep that in mind. It's a good idea to mention relevant individuals whose work has surely inspired you, but avoid name dropping for the sake of it and excessive and evidence-free flattery of the institution or cause. For most of my applications, I went to the website and I researched on lecturers that have the same interest areas as me. I looked at their research work and particular papers that they've been doing, or any research that they've been doing that interests me. And I spoke about that. Please don't just write that for the sake of writing. If you can, just glance through whatever papers they have written and write something that intrigues you about that paper. The paper is intriguing to me because it talks about this to me, and it relates to the kind of research I want to do or anything like that. But don't just go and copy someone's name from the website and put it because you feel like, it's going to make your application look nicer and better. If you refer to any papers or books in the reference, then reference this correctly in a bibliography at the end of the statement. This might rarely be the case, but if you put any statistics or not statistics even, but um if you make any statements that are from someone's work, then you might have to reference it. Plagiarism is a very big thing in universities in the UK and the US, and I think all over the world, in academia in general. So um I'll say you should avoid anything that has to do with that, except if it's something really technical and you absolutely have to borrow from someone else's work. I've never had to reference anything in my personal statement, so I hope you don't have to, because you need to start figuring out one referencing style to use. So pay attention to any word limits and essay prompts. Like I said, the essay is mostly 250 to 700 words sometimes. Between that, some schools give you 500. I've rarely seen 1,000 words for UK schools, but there are. And also essay prompts. Some schools specifically ask you to write on certain things. So don't just get carried away writing because you feel like you know what the personal assignment is about. Make sure that whatever you're writing answers the question they're asking. Um, Write in a style that is clear, concise, and not too elaborate or complicated. Still, I think it relates to a point I initially mentioned. Very keep the writing really simple. Write in active voice. For example, I completed a placement in 2022, not a placement was completed in 2022. Yeah, the active voice really helps make what you're saying stronger. And you will notice that even when you're writing the passive voice, um, word highlights that for you. Structure your statement using short sentences and paragraphs. There's a tendency for you to want to write everything in one sentence. Please avoid it as much as possible. It loses meaning, or the person loses the meaning of the sentence when it becomes too long. So try to keep the sentences very short. Be as definite as you can. Um, um, sound confident about, what you're saying. I want to, instead of I intend to, I hope to. Tell them what exactly it is you want to do. Like I said, bonus points if you know the specific thing. I mean, it can change along the way, but I feel like schools find it a lot more fascinating when students are very firm and know what they're about and what they want. Make sure you include only relevant information. If something you mention isn't related to your course or why you want to study the course, then don't include it. Whether you're writing for UK or US, please make sure, especially for the UK, sorry, make sure it's really, really tied to the course. Remember, you have a limited word count. You don't want to waste it saying things that are not necessary. Don't overstate your achievements. It may strike the boastful tone that's unlikely to strengthen your application. You can just if maybe you want to highlight the fact that you were the first from your school to present at the research conference, please make sure you're saying that in a way that adds on to your experience and how it's shaping you for that program, not just throwing in achievements because you want to throw it. Don't repeat information you've already covered elsewhere. Like I said, it's not an extent, it's not a replica of your CV or a cover letter. It's more information. Let me say that. Avoid using cliche phrases or quotes as opening lines. Like I said, I've always been fascinated by, I have a passion for those are overused sentences. I think I've spoken a little about the UK versus the US, the differences between both personal statements. For the most part, both personal statements are about you and your achievements and um the things that matter to you. But in my experience and in the research I've done, I feel like the UK system prioritizes expertise in whatever field you're coming to do. Um, they want to know how your undergraduate program has prepared you for that field and um, what skills and experiences you have that are relevant to that field. But the US prioritizes curiosity, students who are curious, and most times they want to get an all-rounded view of you. In the most US personal statements start with a story or an anecdote, and that anecdote is most often what shapes the person's decision to want to pursue that program. And most times, even when I think most times for the US, I'm not saying you don't need any technical expertise, please don't quote me on that. You need to have technical know-how, especially if you're going to do things like engineering and all. But really, they want to see that you have curiosity or passion to thrive in a particular field, even if it's not something even if it's something you're going to do for the first time, and this is especially relevant in the social sciences, where a lot of the things you do are understanding phenomena and explaining phenomena. Um, they just want to say that you have a strong um, motivation for wanting to do what you want to do, and they want to see that you're curious and you're going to succeed in whatever discipline you're going to do. I think it's for them, it's almost like you feel more connected to the program if you know you have a variety of experiences, or if a lot of your personal experiences have shaped your decision to want to pursue that program. So the summary of this is the UK system requires depth, like depth in you talk about, you dwell more on your academic expertise, and you explain that very well. The American system looks at breadth, like you as a whole individual, your personal story, your motivations, your experiences, all of that. So they look at you from a broader perspective. The UK systems really want you to pin it down on, the specific course you're studying and your academics, and they really want you to center around your academics, but um or that while you're studying that specific course. But the UK system looks at you as a whole. Sorry, the US system looks at you as a whole, and especially what you can bring not only to the course but to the campus, and to the world as a whole. So that's it for the first one. And in the UK statement, you will likely rattle off the most advanced books or theories you know in your subject. Very important, especially if you're doing very technical things like engineering, computer science, and the pure sciences, I'll say. And then in the US, you speak about your extracurriculars or a personal story that relates to a central tenet of your personal outlook in life and education. This is really, really key. I promise you, um, if you pick up 10 UK personal statements and 10 US personal statements, this is like one of the key differences you'll find. The fact that most people in the US write about their motivation comes from a lot of their personal stories, which is really grounded on who they are and how it has changed their perception about life. UK, just please tell me about academics and expertise. A few personal things here and there, but don't make it the whole thing. In a UK personal statement, you should talk about what you know. In the US personal statement, you should talk about how you are informed about what you do. Um, um, Still the same thing, expertise. What do you know about this thing you're going to study? But in the US, how has this experience shaped you or shaped your decision to study this? I mean, your academics is going, I mean, you'll obviously be talking about how your decision has shaped, how your experiences have shaped your decision to study this. But I think the US, that's really central. How your experiences have informed your decision, and most times it doesn't need to be really academic. It can be um something out of school, a life changing experience that you have. Um, if you lost a family member, if a family member was sick and you couldn't access healthcare, if you were traveling and something happened, if you got disappointed by a partner in a relationship, sorry, it can be really the smallest experience that will inform your whole application. So, but also know that they're also going to expect to see your academics and um um skill set and all of that. But just know that UK expertise, what you know, US motivation, personal experience, and how that has shaped you and all of that. I just want to end on a closing note. Like I said in the beginning, the personal statement is the only part of your application through which you actually communicate with the admissions committee, especially if interviews are not part of the admissions process. It is the only component of your application where you get to be you and you get to talk about you without, I mean, you're limited by the word count, but um a lot of other parts is just your grades. You can't go and start explaining your grades. Hey, I got an A in this and this and this, and I learned to do this and this, and it's where you get to talk about yourself and you know yourself best. So please do not ask anyone to write this for you. I've had a couple of people ask me to write personal statements, and honestly, it's a hassle writing personal statements from someone else's perspective. I don't know how those who do it as a job do it, but when you write it as you, it makes more sense and it brings like an emotional bit to it. It doesn't just see it as you telling your story, um, and how you want to craft that story. So please, as much as possible, do not ask anyone to write your personal statement for you. I think this is the end of the session for me. Um, unfortunately, because it's not in person, I can't take any questions and answers. But I'll ask, I had to put a slide with my details, but I'll ask Evita to share my contact and my maybe email and WhatsApp number. If anyone wants any additional support, you can reach out to me. I'm always available to help. Yeah, and I wish you all the best on your applications. It's really a daunting process, but honestly, when you get that one scholarship, you'll look back and you'll be grateful for having gone through it. So all the best with your essays. Remember to have people review it, and I'm hoping that next year you'll have scholarships to do your masters, and you'll also be giving sessions like this. Yeah, have a great rest of the day.